Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Zcast. And today is Thursday, August 28th, 2025. We are officially 1 week away from NFL kickoff. Next Thursday night, we will officially see the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys. And will Micah Parsons be there? Quite frankly, I don't think so. But anyway, guys, let's get right into today's video. We are talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. You guys know the Raiders are the AFC West division. Now, in 2024, the Raiders finished 4-13. Yes, pretty bad, obviously. Not going to say what the obvious say, but pretty bad for the Raiders. Now, they did fire their head coach, who I was a big fan of, Antonio Pierce, who seemed like a very good player's coach. It seemed like the veterans in that locker room, Davante Adams and Max Crosby, seemed to really want him there. And I think he was a great coach. Seemed to bring the energy. Seemed to be the complete opposite of Josh McDaniels, who was their last head coach they hired. So I think Antonio Pierce did a great job for them. You know, they won some games, but again, a really rough year. And in 2024, they did end up trading their wide receiver Davante Adams to the New York Jets. That ended up not working out for the Jets, but you know the Raiders still moved on from Davante Adams. And I think a big reason why the Raiders struggled last season was their quarterback play. Obviously, they started the season with Uncle Rico, Gardner Minshew, somebody I like, but honestly, no disrespect, but I don't think you can win many games with Gardner Minshew as your QB1. They also had second-year player. I'm a fan of this guy, Aiden O'Connell, second-year quarterback out of Purdue. He suffered some injuries, but when he was healthy, he looked okay. It did seem a bit to have more control of the offense than Gardner Minshew, but still, not the best. And they also we saw like 6 games out of Desmond Ridder for the Raiders, former star at college in Cincinnati. But yeah, so very mid quarterback play for the Raiders. But I think probably the biggest story or the biggest bright side for the Raiders in the 2024 season was rookie tight end Brock Bowers, who set an NFL rookie record for tight ends with 112 receptions. Wow. First of all, that's unbelievable. Brock Bowers is on an amazing trajectory of potentially being the greatest tight end of all time. But now, before we get too crazy on Brock Bowers, he had an amazing season and somehow fell all the way to pick 14 at the Raiders. I don't know how all these teams passed on Brock Bowers in the 2024 draft. I really don't know. He seemed like a surefire hit. And again, I do know he was the biggest tight end prospect since Kyle Pitts, and obviously Mr. Kyle Pitts has not lived up to his hype, but I think Brock Bowers was better than Kyle Pitts was in college at Georgia. So if you saw how good he was at Georgia, he was dominant, the best player on the field there. We saw him play for like 4 years, I feel like, too. So we've seen a lot of Brock Bowers in college. So I think you just kind of knew he was going to be a good NFL player. So obviously he had 112 receptions. Yes, 112 receptions. Almost had 1,200 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. Obviously, a fantasy legend, a GOAT in fantasy. Probably many people a lot of fantasy leagues last year with Brock Bowers. Now, another thing for the Raiders in 2024, they had a very bad defense. Now, they have some very good players on defense. Obviously, Max Crosby. Also have a guy who had a very good season last year, Robert Spillane, linebacker, who unfortunately for the Raiders did have a great year, so he did sign with the Patriots. We also saw Divine Diablo have a pretty good season, a very good linebacker. They also did lose him. He's got a very cool name, but they did lose him. And another wide receiver who recently requested a trade, Jacoby Myers, a very slept-on wide receiver too. I think when they traded Davante Adams, he became the main target besides Brock Bowers. But I do think Robert Spillane and Jacoby Myers had a very good season. But he did request a trade. He wants a new contract, so he's a very underrated receiver, I'd say. Very good, sure-handed guy. Can run very good route, deep threat. Good receiver. So definitely somebody to keep your eye on. I don't think they'll trade him. They certainly need him. But anyway, guys, looking forward to the 2025 season for the Raiders. I am expecting some pretty decent things out of the Raiders this season. Now, it all started where they hired one of my favorite coaches of all time, Pete Carroll. Got him out of retirement from the Seahawks. They hired Pete Carroll, who's, I believe, now the oldest head coach in the NFL. So very exciting news for them. They also traded for quarterback Geno Smith. Yes, Pete Carroll brought Geno Smith with him from the Seahawks to the Raiders. So obviously an upgraded quarterback instantly over what they had last season. And the Raiders also are pretty busy. They made some moves. I do like a lot of the moves the Raiders made in the offseason, including signing running back Raheem Mostert from the Niners and the Dolphins. Very good speed back. They also signed cornerback Eric Stokes from the Packers. Pretty young, still a relatively young guy. He was drafted out of Georgia, I think, in 2022 maybe. Drafted out of Georgia, so pretty young guy there. Also signed to replace Robert Spillane. They signed linebacker Landon Roberts. That guy actually played fullback a little bit for the Patriots, so that's interesting. Also spent a lot of money on safety Jeremy Chin from the Commanders. I think he'll definitely improve their defense. They also signed guard Alex Kappa. Pretty good protection there. And some more recent moves in the end of training camp. They actually signed their former first-round pick, Amari Cooper. Awesome move. I love that for them. Officially, pair him next to Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. Two guys I'm a big fan of, obviously mentioned before. But, yeah, seriously like that move. They also they traded for quarterback Kenny Pickett to back up. Most likely will back up, what's his name? Not Jacoby Myers. Will most likely back up Geno Smith. And I do believe they lost Aiden O'Connell due to a thumb injury in training camp this season, so that's why they needed to get another backup. But I would expect them to be their three quarterbacks this season, Geno Smith. And, Kenny Pickett's a very solid backup. Could start, too, if you need him to, but also, when Aiden O'Connell is healthy, I certainly think he's a good guy to have on your team. Certainly a young guy with potential there. Now, I'm very excited this also. The Raiders had an amazing draft. They got one of the best players in the draft, somebody I'm very excited to watch. They got, with the 6th pick, running back Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State, who, in my opinion, possibly should have won the Heisman. I love Travis Hunter, but I think that Ashton Jeanty certainly had a case of the Heisman last year. He played for Boise. That might have hurt him a little bit, but certainly, I think Ashton Jeanty had a case to possibly take home the Heisman Trophy last year. Now, of course, they add him to a pretty empty running back room. They have Zamir White, who's shown signs, but I think he's obviously Ashton Jeanty's an instant impact, and he should change this offense completely. I'd expect him. He's looked amazing in the preseason. Obviously, as expected, I expect him to completely change this offense and this entire team, quite frankly. Now, they also drafted out of TCU in the second round receiver Jack Beck. Pretty good receiver. I'm impressed to see what he'll be able to do, and he should have a big role in this offense as well. Now, they also signed some pretty good guys on defense as well, as included from the Bengals, linebacker Jermaine Pratt. Very good addition. And they also signed safety, now linebacker Jamal Adams, former top 10 pick, who's looked very good as a linebacker now. Not truly built like a linebacker, but certainly plays like. He's got natural speed, and he's got an eye for the ball, so he's obviously going to find the ball very well. But obviously, not truly big like a linebacker, but certainly can be an effective one. He's certainly looked very good so far this preseason. Now, guys, we also have another tight end, Michael Mayer, who's a very solid tight end to go behind Brock Bowers. Now, for the Las Vegas Raiders, again, I expect them to be a lot better than last season. They are in the AFC West, a very tough division. Obviously, you got the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Broncos. Relatively tough division, but I expect them to be better than they were last season at 4-13. Of course, they should win some more games this year. So, again, with the additions they've made, a lot of additions. Pete Carroll, the most important one, but obviously like Geno Smith, even getting guys like Amari Cooper, I think will really, really help this team. So I'm expecting them to finish the season 7-10. Yeah, 7-10 range. Of course, probably not going to see them make the playoffs in year one with Pete Carroll. I will say, I'm expecting big things out of Geno Smith. He will be an upgrade, but I'm still not sold that Geno Smith is the guy. You're right, certainly serviceable, but I think the Raiders certainly they're going to be a team to watch. You're getting a new rookie quarterback in next year's draft, possibly. Maybe look at Drew Aller. I don't know, but certainly I do really like Geno Smith, and he's certainly serviceable, and I expect him to get maybe 2 to 3 good years out of him. But I would certainly expect the Raiders to be a team that needs a young rookie quarterback in the near future for sure. Now, again, they have very good skill position players, including Ashton Jeanty, who besides Travis Hunter, I'm probably very excited to see him play. Again, a guy that can completely change this offense and this team. It's going to bring that explosiveness, I think, and something that this team has not really had besides Brock Bowers last year. Now you got 2 studs, possibly more. So again, with some of these guys that they signed on defense, like Jermaine Pratt, Eric Stokes, Jeremy Chin, I think this team's going to be a lot better, obviously with Pete Carroll. So again, I have them going 7-10. And they do open up the season home or at the New England Patriots. So that could be a tough road game, Got to go all the way to New England. Pretty far flight for the Raiders. So I expect them to probably lose that game. But week 2 against the Chargers at home, they could very well win that game. I do expect them to be very competitive against the AFC West in general, but very competitive team in general. So I do see them finishing 7-10. So that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thanks for watching. This afternoon, the O's have a day game. Unfortunately, now we're looking at potentially getting swept by Boston after sweeping them in Boston. But now in Baltimore, the Orioles have lost 3 games in a row to the Red Sox. Not good. And today we are facing their ace, Garrett Crochet. So obviously not looking good for the O's, but that's okay. We are looking to play spoilers before we head out to San Francisco this weekend. Big weekend coming up. Got some big, huge top 10 matchups this Sunday. We will talk about that closer to this weekend. But guys, thanks for watching. This has been the Las Vegas Raiders, and thanks for watching, guys. Go O's.